The strange signal came at 3:17 in the morning. Daniel Woods had been half asleep at his monitoring station, the blue glow of computer screens lighting his tired face. The NASA Deep Space Array wasn't supposed to pick up anything unusual that night. But then the computer started beeping. Daniel sat up straight, his eyes now wide open. The signal wasn't random. It had patterns, mathematical sequences that couldn't happen naturally. Someone was sending a message to Earth. "This can't be right," he whispered, reaching for his phone. His fingers trembled as he dialed his supervisor. Within 24 hours, every major government knew. Within 48, the first response teams assembled. By the end of the week, the message had been decoded. Earth was not alone, and visitors were coming. They called themselves the Galactic Council, a union of 17 advanced species that had been watching humanity for centuries. They claimed they had waited until humans developed enough technology to understand their existence. Now they wanted to welcome Earth into their cosmic community. On a cool October morning, their ship arrived. It descended through the clouds above, the United Nations headquarters in New York, a massive vessel shaped like a perfect silver sphere. Millions watched on television and online streams as the first alien delegation in human history stepped onto Earth. The Council's main representative was a tall being that looked like a walking crystal formation. It called itself Zorval and spoke through a translation device that converted its musical tones into human languages. "We bring greetings and gifts," Zorval announced to the gathered world leaders. "Your species has shown great promise. We wish to help guide your development and welcome you to the galactic community." President Harris nodded and smiled for the cameras, but her eyes showed caution. "We thank you for your generosity and look forward to learning from your wisdom," she said. Most people celebrated. News channels showed parties in cities across the world. Religious leaders debated what this meant for their faiths. Scientists eagerly awaited the technological breakthroughs the aliens promised. But not everyone was convinced. Lisa Harmon sat in her small office at the National Security Agency, reviewing the aliens' language patterns. As one of the government's top analysts in linguistics and communication theory, she had been assigned to study the Council's translation systems. "Something's off," she told her colleague Ben Riley. "The translations are too perfect in some ways, but they avoid certain topics entirely. It's like they're working from a script." Ben looked up from his computer. "You think they're hiding something?" Lisa nodded slowly. "I think they're being very careful about what they tell us. Notice how they talk about cultural exchange and medical advancements, but they change the subject whenever anyone asks about their propulsion systems or weapons." Over the next few weeks, Lisa compiled more evidence. The aliens freely gave information about biology and medicine, but avoided questions about physics and space-time. They offered to help improve Earth's infrastructure, but suggested replacing key parts of the internet with their own systems. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles above Earth, in the Council's orbital diplomatic station, representatives from the 17 alien species met in private. The room was designed to accommodate their vastly different biologies. Some needed special atmospheres, others required different gravity fields. A delegate that looked like a floating blue octopus spoke first. "The humans are adapting to our presence faster than predicted. Their scientists are already asking difficult questions." Zorval's crystalline form glimmered under the room's lights. "This is why we must accelerate our containment strategy. Humanity's development curve is alarming. If they achieve independent faster-than-light travel within the next century, they could spread throughout the nearby systems before we can establish proper controls." A small, furry creature that resembled a raccoon with 4 eyes tapped its claws on the table. "I still believe we should simply destroy their military capabilities now and establish direct oversight." "Why this deception?" "Because," Zorval explained, "humans respond poorly to direct threats. They become more dangerous when cornered. Our studies show that they are most effectively managed through guided development, letting them believe they're making their own choices while we direct those choices." The Council voted. 12 species supported the containment plan. 3 opposed it, favoring more direct control. 2 abstained. The decision was made. Humanity would be slowly guided into technological dependency while believing they were advancing. 6 months passed. Earth governments signed agreements with the Council. New technologies appeared in hospitals, transportation, systems, and communication networks. People's daily lives improved in noticeable ways. Diseases that had been incurable were now being treated. Clean energy sources reduced pollution. Food production increased. But Lisa Harmon's suspicions only grew. She had been reassigned to work directly with the alien delegation as a communication specialist, which gave her access to more of their technology. With each passing week, she found more inconsistencies in their story. One evening, while the alien representatives attended a diplomatic dinner, Lisa managed to access their unfiltered communication systems. What she found confirmed her worst fears. The Council had classified Earth as a Level 5 containment zone. Humans were described as dangerously unpredictable and showing concerning expansion tendencies. The Council's true plan was to gradually limit human development, not enhance it. Their gifts contained hidden restrictions, subtle changes to scientific equipment that would prevent certain discoveries, particularly in physics and space travel. Lisa copied as much data as she could before carefully covering her tracks. Her heart pounded as she left the alien compound and drove home through the dark streets of Washington, D.C. She had to tell someone, but who would believe her? The world had embraced the aliens as saviors. Anyone questioning their motives was labeled a conspiracy theorist or fearmonger. As she pulled into her driveway, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "We know what you found. We've been watching too. Meet tomorrow, 3 p.m., National. Arboretum, northeast corner, come alone." Lisa stared at her phone. Someone else suspected the truth. She wasn't sure if it was a trap, but she knew one thing for certain. Humanity needed to know what was really happening before it was too late. In his laboratory at CERN in Switzerland, physicist Alan Cortez was having his own revelation. The Council had upgraded the particle accelerator with their technology, supposedly to make it more efficient. But when Alan examined the new components, he realized they were deliberately limiting certain types of experiments, exactly the ones that might lead to breakthroughs in understanding space-time. Why would they do this? He whispered to himself as he worked late into the night, carefully bypassing the alien modifications. Unless they don't want us to discover something. The countdown to humanity's awakening had begun. The Council's plan was already in motion, but so was humanity's resistance. Lisa arrived at the National Arboretum 15 minutes early. She walked slowly through the gardens, trying to look like a normal visitor, enjoying the trees and plants. Her hand stayed close to the pepper spray in her pocket. She wasn't taking any chances. At exactly 3 o'clock, she reached the northeast corner. An older man sat on a bench feeding birds. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, looking like any other retiree enjoying the afternoon. When Lisa passed by, he spoke without looking at her. "The bench across from me. Sit and pretend to check your phone." Lisa did as he suggested. From the corner of her eye, she studied him. Something about him seemed familiar. "My name is Frank," he said quietly. "I used to work for the government, now I work for humanity." "How did you know what I found?" Lisa asked. Frank threw another handful of seeds to the birds. "We've had our suspicions about the Council from the beginning. We've been watching their communications too, but you got deeper than we have. We need what you found." "We?" Lisa asked. "A group of people from different agencies, different countries. People who don't trust our new alien friends." Frank finally turned to look at her. "The question is, are you with us?" Lisa thought about the classified documents she had seen. Earth marked as a containment zone. Humans described as dangerous. Technology designed to limit rather than advance. "I'm with you," she said. Frank nodded. "Good. Tomorrow morning, call in sick to work. Then go to the coffee shop on 7th Street, the one with the blue awning. Order a large coffee and sit at the back table. Someone will meet you there." The next day, Lisa did as Frank instructed. The coffee shop was busy with morning customers. She ordered her coffee and found the back table. After 10 minutes of waiting, A woman with short gray hair sat down across from her. "I'm Kelly," the woman said. "I used to be a marine biologist before the council arrived. Now I study them instead of fish." Kelly explained that she was part of a group called Unfettered. They were scientists, military personnel, and government workers who had noticed problems with the council's story. "We have a physicist working with us," Kelly said. "Alan Cortez from CERN. He discovered something important." Lisa's eyes widened. "I've heard of him. What did he find?" "The aliens modified our scientific equipment to prevent certain discoveries. Alan bypassed their restrictions and found something they've been hiding, a way to manipulate space-time that could lead to faster-than-light travel, something the Council specifically doesn't want us to have." Over the next month, Lisa began working with Unfettered while maintaining her position with the Council delegation. She became their inside source, passing information about the aliens' plans. She learned that the group had hidden bases around the world. They operated in old, military bunkers, abandoned research stations, and even a network of facilities built into deep-sea oil platforms. Their biggest base was underwater, in a renovated old submarine pen off the coast of Norway. At CERN, Alan Cortez continued his secret research. The Council had given humans technology that seemed advanced but actually contained subtle limits. Alan found ways around these restrictions. "It's amazing," he told Kelly during a secure video call. "They gave us tools that appear to be much better than our old ones, but they're designed to fail when approaching certain discoveries. It's like giving someone a car that shuts down if it drives toward specific destinations." One night while working late, Alan made a breakthrough. He managed to create a small bubble of altered spacetime in his lab, the first step toward the kind of propulsion system that could take humans beyond their solar system without Council approval. But his success triggered an alarm in the Council's monitoring systems. The next morning, Council security forces raided his lab. Alan barely escaped with his research data. He sent an emergency message to Unfettered before going into hiding. 2 days later, Lisa was called to an unexpected meeting with Zorval. The crystalline alien's usual friendly tone was gone. "We have noticed unusual activities in your scientific community," Zorval said. "Some humans appear to be working on restricted technologies. This is concerning." Lisa kept her face neutral. "I wasn't aware any technologies were restricted. The Council presented itself as wanting to help humanity advance." Zorval's crystal body flickered with internal light. "Advancement must happen at the proper pace. Some paths of development are dangerous for young species. We have seen civilizations destroy themselves by advancing too quickly." "I see," Lisa said, though she understood the real message. The Council wasn't protecting humanity from itself. They were protecting themselves from humanity. After the meeting, Lisa sent an urgent message to Unfettered. The Council was growing suspicious. They needed to accelerate their plans. At the underwater base in Norway, Frank organized their security forces. They were a mix of former military personnel from around the world. They had been stockpiling weapons and training for months, preparing for the moment when the Council might discover their activities. Kelly oversaw a team of engineers and scientists working on their secret project, a starship called Defiance. Using Alan's research and technology they had managed to develop on their own, they were building a vessel that could break through the Council's blockade and take humans beyond their solar system. "How much longer do we need?" Frank asked. During their weekly leadership meeting. 3 months minimum," Kelly replied. "We've got the engines working, but the life support systems aren't ready for long-term space travel." "We may not have 3 months," Lisa warned them through her secure video link. "The Council is increasing surveillance. They suspect something." Alan, who had finally made it to the underwater base, spoke up. "What if we don't need to finish the whole ship? What if we just need to get the propulsion system working and installed on a smaller vessel?" The group debated this idea. A smaller ship couldn't carry as many people or travel as far, but it might be ready faster. Their discussion was interrupted by alarms. The base's sensors had detected multiple craft approaching. "Council security vessels. They've found us," Frank said grimly, reaching for his weapon. "Everyone to battle stations." Lisa watched the chaos through her video link. helpless in her apartment in Washington. The council must have tracked Alan or intercepted their communications. You need to leave now, Kelly told her. They'll be coming for you too. Lisa grabbed her emergency bag, already packed and ready, and headed for the door. But as she reached for the handle, it swung open. 2 council security officers stood in the hallway. Behind them floated a small drone with multiple lenses trained on her. Lisa Harmon, one of the officers said, "By order of the Galactic Council, you are detained for questioning regarding unauthorized technological development and conspiracy against council directives." As they took her away, Lisa wondered if this was the end of humanity's resistance, or just the beginning of a much larger fight. The room where they kept Lisa was small and white, with no windows. A single table and 2 chairs sat in the center. The only door had no handle on the inside. Lisa had been there for 3 days, by her count. They brought her food and water, but asked no questions. On the 4th day, Zorval entered the room. The crystalline alien's body reflected the bright lights, sending small rainbows across the walls. "Lisa Harmon," Zorval said, "we are disappointed. You were trusted to work with us." Lisa sat up straight. She had decided not to deny anything. "You lied to all of humanity. You came as friends but treat us like children, or prisoners." "We do what is necessary for galactic stability," Zorval replied. "Humans advance too quickly. You solve problems in ways we cannot predict. This makes you dangerous. So you decided to hold us back? To keep us trapped in our own solar system? It is for your own good and for the good of all species." The alien moved closer. "We need to know about your group, about Unfettered. How many are you? Where are your other bases?" Lisa smiled slightly. "I think you're afraid of us. Why else would advanced species like yours work so hard to contain humans?" Before Zorval could respond, alarms began to sound. The alien turned quickly, moving toward the door. It slid open, and Zorval spoke rapidly to a guard outside in the council's musical language. The door closed again, leaving Lisa alone. Something was happening. At the underwater base in Norway, the battle had been raging for hours. Council forces had surrounded the facility, but they hadn't expected such strong resistance. Frank had trained his security team well, and they held off the attack from multiple entry points. In the deepest part of the base, Kelly and Alan worked frantically to complete the essential systems of the Defiance. The ship wasn't fully ready, but they had no choice now. "Life support is online," Alan called out as he connected the final circuits. "It won't be comfortable, but it will keep people alive." Kelly nodded, her fingers flying over a control panel. "Navigation is set. The engines are at 80% capacity. It's now or never." Through the base's communication system, Frank's voice came through. "We can't hold them much longer. How many people can you take?" 50 maximum, Kelly replied. "Any more and life support will fail before we reach our destination." Frank made the difficult call. "I'll send the core science team and essential personnel. The rest of us will stay and cover your escape." Across the base, people rushed to the ship's loading bay. Scientists carried hard drives and essential equipment. Security personnel passed out weapons to everyone boarding, just in case. Kelly looked at the gathered group. "Once we launch, there's no turning back. We'll be leaving Earth possibly for years." No one hesitated. They had all volunteered, knowing the risks. Frank arrived with the last group of scientists. His uniform was torn and burned from the fighting. "The outer barriers are breached. You have 10 minutes at most." "You're coming with us," Kelly insisted. Frank shook his head. "Someone needs to initiate the launch sequence manually and then flood the launch tube. Otherwise, they'll follow you immediately." Before Kelly could argue, the base shook from a massive explosion. "That was the main entry seal," Frank said grimly. "Get everyone on board, now." As the selected personnel boarded the Defiance, Frank led a team to the launch control room. The ship sat in a massive underwater tunnel that would open directly into the deep ocean. Once launched, it would use special shielding to hide from Council sensors until it could engage its main engines beyond Earth's atmosphere. Frank watched on the monitors as the last person entered the ship and the entry hatch sealed. He opened. "A communication line to the bridge. Kelly, is everyone secure?" Kelly's voice came through clearly. All aboard and strapped in. Ready when you are. Frank took a deep breath. Launching in 30 seconds. Good luck out there. Show the galaxy what humans can really do. He initiated the launch sequence, then pressed the emergency protocols to flood the tunnel after the ship departed. As water began pouring into the control room, Frank smiled. The Council thought they had won by finding this base, but they didn't realize it was just one of many. Humanity's resistance would continue. The Defiance shot through the underwater tunnel and into the deep ocean. Its special engines created barely any turbulence as it moved rapidly toward the surface. Council ships patrolling the area detected nothing unusual. As the ship broke through the waves and accelerated upward, Kelly took command on the bridge. Alan sat at a console nearby, monitoring the experimental engine systems. Council orbital. Defenses will detect us in approximately 2 minutes, a young navigator named Sam reported. Plot a course directly through their weakest point, Kelly ordered. Alan, prepare to engage the main drive as soon as we clear the atmosphere. The ship rocketed upward, quickly reaching the edge of space. Alarms began to sound as Council defense platforms detected them. They're locking weapons, Sam called out. Evasive maneuvers, Kelly replied calmly. Stay on course. The Defiance swerved and twisted as it climbed higher. Energy beams from Council weapons shot past, some grazing the ship's hull. 30 seconds to atmosphere clearing, Alan announced. Engine power at maximum. The ship shuddered as a Council beam struck its rear section. Warning lights flashed across control panels. Minor damage to the outer hull, a technician reported. All critical systems still functioning. 10 seconds, Alan called out. The view screens showed Council ships moving to intercept them, but they were too late. The Defiance cleared Earth's atmosphere and reached open space. Now, Alan, Kelly shouted. Alan activated the experimental drive. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself appeared to bend around the ship. Stars stretched into lines of light, and Earth suddenly shrank to a tiny dot behind them. The Defiance had done the impossible. It had broken through the Council's containment of Earth and was now traveling faster than light, heading away from the solar system. In her cell on the Council station, Lisa felt the entire structure shake. Emergency lights activated, and she heard shouting in the corridor outside. Something major had happened. Hours later, her door opened. Zorval entered, its crystalline body dimmer than before. What have your people done? The alien asked, its voice lacking its usual musical quality. Lisa didn't know exactly what had happened, but she could guess. I told you that humans don't like being contained. The Council has called an emergency session, Zorval said. For the first time in our history, a contained species has broken containment. Human ships have been detected leaving your solar system. Lisa couldn't help but smile. And that's just the beginning. Aboard the Defiance, days turned into weeks as the ship traveled through unknown space. The 50 crew members adjusted to their new life. They worked in shifts, monitoring the experimental engine and making repairs to damage from their escape. Kelly stood on the bridge, looking at the stars on the main view screen. They looked different here, away from Earth's familiar constellations. How far have we gone? She asked Alan, who was studying navigation data. It's hard to be exact, he replied. But based on my calculations, we're about 15 light years from Earth, farther than any human has ever traveled. Sam, the young navigator, looked up from his station. I'm detecting something ahead. It's artificial, not natural. Kelly moved quickly to his side. Council ships? I don't think so, Sam said, adjusting the sensors. The energy signature is different, and it's not moving toward us. Kelly made a decision. Slow our speed. Let's approach carefully. The Defiance reduced speed. The stars on the view screen no longer stretched into lines of light. Ahead, they could now see a structure floating in space. It looked like a massive ring with spokes connecting to a central hub. It's a space station, Alan said in wonder, but not Council design. As they drew closer, smaller ships became visible around the station. They were unlike any vessels the Council used. Suddenly, their communication system activated. A voice, spoke in an unfamiliar language, followed by attempts in various other languages. Finally, it tried something close to English. Unknown vessel. Identify purpose and origin. Kelly exchanged glances with her bridge crew before responding. This is the starship Defiance from planet Earth. We are peaceful explorers seeking refuge from the Galactic Council. There was a long pause before the voice replied. Earth vessel, you are cleared to approach Docking Bay 7. Welcome to Freedom Station. The Defiance was guided to a large docking area where it connected to the station. The crew was nervous about meeting aliens without Council supervision, but they had few options. When the airlock opened, they were surprised to see beings that looked somewhat similar to various Earth animals. One resembled a tall fox walking on two legs, another like a scaled version of a deer. They wore simple uniforms without Council insignia. The fox-like being stepped forward. I am Captain Valen of Freedom Station Security. You claim to be from Earth, a contained world. How did you escape Council containment? Kelly stepped forward as the ship's leader. We built this ship in secret. Our scientist, she gestured to Alan, discovered how to bypass the Council's restrictions on our technology. Valen's ears perked up with interest. The Council restricts many technologies. Which did you overcome? Faster than light travel, Alan replied. They modified our scientific equipment to prevent us from discovering certain principles of space-time manipulation. This caused excited murmuring among the station aliens. Valen's expression changed to one of respect. Please come. With me. There are people who will want to meet you immediately. They were led through the station, seeing many different alien species working together. None wore Council symbols, and the technology looked different from what the Council had brought to Earth. Finally, they entered a large meeting room where representatives of various species sat around a circular table. At the head was a being with blue skin and 4 arms who stood as they entered. I am Director Zara of the Free Worlds Alliance, she said. For generations, we have existed beyond Council space, watching their expansion and containment policies. You are the first contained species to escape in over 300 years. Kelly introduced herself and explained their situation, how the Council had deceived Earth, how they had built the Defiance, and their desperate escape. Director Zara nodded as she listened. The Council fears species with potential. They encountered my people when we were just beginning to explore our own star system. They judged us too unpredictable and attempted to contain us. We escaped and found others who had done the same. How many worlds are in your alliance? Alan asked. 27 inhabited worlds with 11 spacefaring species, Zara replied. We have developed technologies the Council suppresses. We monitor their activities and occasionally help contained worlds when possible. Can you help Earth? Kelly asked. Zara looked thoughtful. Perhaps, but first tell me, what makes humans different? The Council has successfully contained hundreds of species. How did you break free so quickly? Alan explained how humans had noticed the patterns in Council technology, how they had worked around limitations, and how they had kept entire research programs hidden from alien oversight. Valen, who had joined them in the meeting room, spoke up. Humans adapted to the Council's deception faster than any species we know of. Most take centuries to even realize they are being held back. Zara nodded. This confirms what our intelligence has suggested about humanity. You solve problems differently. You think in ways the Council cannot predict. While the Defiance crew learned about the Free Worlds Alliance back on Earth, the situation had changed dramatically. The Council's response to the escape was harsh and immediate. They officially banned humanity from galactic society and placed Earth under strict blockade. No ships could leave or enter the solar system without Council approval. In an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders, Zorval announced the new restrictions. Your species has violated containment protocols. This is unprecedented and dangerous. Until those who escaped are returned, Earth will remain isolated. President Harris stood up in anger. You never told us we were contained. You came as friends but acted as jailers. Humanity will not accept this. Zorval's crystalline body flashed with internal light. You have no choice. Our ships surround your planet and all major installations in your system. What the Council didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment ever since Lisa had discovered their true intentions. Hidden bases existed not just on Earth but throughout the solar system, beneath the surface of Mars, within the moons of Jupiter, and in the asteroid belt. Lisa herself had been moved from the Council station to a secure facility on Earth's moon. There she was surprised to find herself in a cell much more comfortable than before. A day after her arrival, the door opened to reveal a Council representative she hadn't met before. A small, amphibian-like being. "Lisa Harmon," it said quietly. "I am Nexil, representing a minority faction within the Council. Not all of us agree with the containment policy." Lisa studied the alien cautiously. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because your people have done something remarkable," Nexil replied. "The escape of your ship has caused debate among Council species. Some of us believe the policy of containment is wrong, and that species should be allowed to develop naturally. Are you offering to help us?" Lisa asked. Nexil blinked its large eyes. "I can provide information. The Council has discovered that humans had already established secret bases throughout your solar system before the escape. They are planning a major operation to take control of these bases." "When?" 3 days from now. They will use overwhelming force." Lisa leaned forward. "Why would you betray your own Council?" Nexil made a gesture Lisa couldn't interpret. "Because the Council is failing. They have contained too many species for too long. They fear change, but change is coming whether they want it or not." As Nexil left, Lisa sat back on her bed thinking. Humanity had 3 days to prepare for the Council's attack. But they also had something the Council didn't expect: allies beyond Earth who had already broken free. In deep space, the Defiance's crew was making plans with the Free Worlds Alliance. They would return to Earth with advanced technology and knowledge that could help humanity defend itself. The Council thought they had stopped human expansion by banning Earth from galactic society. But as Director Zara told Kelly, sometimes a ban is just the beginning of a revolution. 3 years passed since the Defiance escaped Earth. The Council's attack on humanity's secret bases had not gone as planned. They expected to find small, poorly defended outposts. Instead, they discovered extensive colonies with advanced defense systems. The biggest surprise waited at Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth's sun. There, the Council fleet found not just a human colony, but a massive space station under construction. Humans had reached another star system before the Council even realized they had the technology to do so. What followed was not a war but a standoff. The Council established blockades around Earth and human colonies, but they couldn't actually defeat the colonies without massive losses. Humanity kept finding ways around Council technology, adapting and improvising solutions the aliens never anticipated. On this particular day, Lisa Harmon stood on the observation deck of the Proxima station. 3 years ago, she had been a prisoner. Now she was Earth's ambassador to the Free Worlds Alliance. Her escape from the lunar prison had become a legend among humans, how she had befriended Nexil, the Council minority representative, and how they had fled in a stolen shuttle during the confusion of the initial battles. Lisa watched as a ship approached the station, the Defiance, now upgraded with Free Worlds technology. It docked smoothly, and soon Kelly walked onto the observation deck. The two women embraced like old friends. "How was the diplomatic mission?" Lisa asked. Kelly smiled. "Better than we hoped. 3 more Council species have requested to join the Alliance. They say the Council is losing control." This was the news Lisa had been waiting for. The Council's ban on humanity had backfired completely. Instead of containing the human threat, it had sparked a revolution across the galaxy. "Is it time?" Lisa asked. Kelly nodded. "The Alliance thinks so. We have enough support now to challenge the Council directly." Lisa turned back to the viewport, looking at the stars. "Then let's prepare the final message." Across the galaxy in the Council's central chamber, Zorval and the other representatives were in emergency session. Reports from all sectors showed the same pattern. Their authority was crumbling. Species that had been obedient for centuries were now questioning Council decisions. Some were openly defying containment protocols. "This is humanity's doing. Zorval insisted. Their escape inspired others. Their unpredictable nature is spreading like a disease. The blue octopus-like delegate floated in its gravity field. Perhaps we were wrong to contain them. They have accomplished in 3 years what we thought would take centuries. Wrong? Zorval's crystalline body flashed with internal light. They are dangerous. Look at what they've done to our ordered galaxy. Before any delegate could respond, the chamber's main display activated without authorization. The face that appeared was human. Lisa Harmon. Greetings, Galactic Council, she said. I speak today not just for humanity, but for the new Galactic Federation, an alliance of free worlds that reject your policy of containment and control. The council members watched in shock as Lisa continued. For too long you have decided which species may advance and which must remain limited. You claim to protect the galaxy, but you really protected only your own power. That ends today. The display changed to show a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of systems were highlighted in blue, far more than the Council had realized were in rebellion. These worlds have joined our Federation, Lisa explained as the image returned to her face. We do not seek conflict with the Council. We invite you to join us as equals in a new era of cooperation. But know this, we will not be contained. We will not be controlled. The ban you placed on humanity did not stop us. It only showed others that freedom is possible. In that moment, Zorval realized the truth. The Council had feared humanity's unpredictable nature and rapid advancement. But in trying to contain humans, they had forced them to become even more resourceful, even more determined. The ban had indeed come too late. On Earth, people gathered in cities to watch Lisa's message broadcast on screens. Daniel Woods, now an old man with white hair, watched from his porch in Florida. He had been the first to detect the alien signal all those years ago. Now he watched as humanity took its place among the stars. In underground bases on Mars, the human colonists cheered. In research stations hidden in Jupiter's moon, scientists raised glasses in celebration. On colony ships traveling between stars, families embraced as they heard the news. The Council's chamber erupted into chaos after Lisa's message ended. Some delegates demanded immediate military action. Others called for negotiation. A few simply left, their species already deciding to join the Federation. Zorval stood silent, its crystalline form dim with the equivalent of shock. A small amphibian delegate, Nexil, approached. You knew this would happen, Zorval accused. Nexil made a gesture of acknowledgement. I saw the possibility. Humans solve problems differently than any species we've encountered. They cooperate in ways we never expected. They adapt to any situation. The Council's mistake was thinking we could predict and control such a species. What will happen now? Zorval asked. Change. Nexil replied simply. The galaxy will change. 1 week later, representatives from the Council and the Federation met on neutral ground, a small space station at the border between their territories. Lisa led the Federation delegation. Nexil, now speaking officially for a Council faction, led those willing to negotiate. We propose a new relationship, Lisa said, not based on containment or control, but on mutual respect and exchange. Species should be free to develop at their own pace, to solve problems in their own ways. And if some develop dangerous technologies, Nexil asked. The Council's original purpose was to prevent galaxy-wide destruction. Then we advise and support, Lisa replied. We offer alternatives and share knowledge. But we do not decide for others what path they must take. The talks continued for days. Some Council species refused to participate, retreating to their core worlds. But many more joined the discussions, curious about this new approach. 6 months later, a new agreement was signed. The old Council was dissolved. The Federation expanded to include former Council worlds. Containment policies were abandoned. Knowledge that had been restricted for millennia became freely available. On the first anniversary of the agreement, Lisa visited Earth. She stood with Daniel Woods at the old NASA Deep Space Array, where he had first detected the alien signal. Did you ever imagine it would lead to this? She asked him. Daniel smiled, looking up at the night sky where human ships now freely traveled between stars. Not exactly this, but I always believed we belonged out there. Lisa nodded. The Council banned humanity because they feared what we might become, but it was already too late. We were always meant to be free. As they watched, a new ship rose from Earth's surface heading to the stars. It wasn't escaping or hiding. It was simply exploring, as humans had always dreamed of doing. The Council's ban had failed. Humanity had not only freed itself, but had changed the galaxy forever. And this was just the beginning.